Yo, what's up? It's Monday morning. It's not, it's Wednesday morning. And it seems to be running okay. I haven't done the guide ropes up at the minute. It hardly seems to be making any power though. Well, it won't be making any power at that RPM. But I mean, I was encouraged to come and find it spinning because it's not that windy. But I'm just going to do the guide ropes up and then we'll see if we get any better performance. Whoa, it's hitting that wire. That's done up a couple of the guide ropes. I bought a nice long socket for doing up all the guide ropes. But what I decided I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly weld something on so that I can use it in my drill. For now, I reset the meter about 10 minutes ago and it's on connected to 1 car battery. It seems to have to spin too fast to get to 24 volt, but when there's plenty of wind, that's not an issue. So just wanted to let you know what it's reading now. Yeah, in a bizzle. Tell you what guys, this is a great way to set up to weld small stuff. You can see I've got that socket, a deep socket. I've got some M8 threaded bar. I've got the size of it equaled up by 50p, and then I've got these screws, and you can adjust the screws and the bits move. So if you've got to set something up to weld, I know it's not ideal welding on wood, but if you haven't got a professional setup, you can do it quite easily. And so it came out one touch with a stick welder basically. So you'll see I've got 2 meters here. This is the bottom one, which is connected. The power comes from the batteries here, and then it goes out to the speed controller, and then the speed controller goes to the dump load. So the top meter tells us what the turbine's doing at this precise second, and the secondary meter tells us what the dump load's doing. So if I turn off the speed controller, then that obviously reports that nothing is being used. Interestingly, because it's connected direct to the batteries, it does show the battery voltage. So again, you'll see 2 meters from now on. So this is the top meter. I'm going to get some stickers to put on it. That shows what the turbine's making. And then as I turn the speed controller up, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%. Okay, and when the dump load is connected to 2 car batteries, it'll go up to 300 watts. But when it's just connected to one 12 volt battery, for some reason it only goes up to 60. So there's not much wind and we're not making much power. I'm happy with overall how the turbine's running. We'll go out and have a look at it. I'll just turn the speed controller to 0 again. Seem to be doing pretty well on the overall stability at the minute, but just not making as much power as I would like. Which is a shame, but we shall continue. It's not that windy at the minute, but we seem to have pretty good stability, just not as much power as I would like. Now we're getting a little bit of wind. I'm not saying it's great, but it's a start. It's a bit more like it. Still only connected up to 1 car battery for now. So this is the dump load, and I'm going to leave that on for 10 minutes, and I've set my timer to go off. The turbine's just clicking away at 1 amp at the minute, so it's using more than it's making. This is the turbine. So now we're putting in more than we're taking out. The voltage is going back up above 12.5. I gotta say, I'm not 100% confident I can get this thing making over 24 volts easily, but we'll have to see, won't we? Because it's set up at 12 at the moment. Not enough wind to run on 24. Right, the 10 minutes is up, so we've managed to keep the battery voltage above 12, and the dump load's getting pretty warm, so I'm just going to turn the dump load off, and the battery voltage will obviously start going up again. We'll come back in 20 minutes. This is a homemade deep socket 10mm driver that I made with some 8mm threaded bar, and then I just spun it round and round on my driver, on my grinder disc, sorry, till I got this, and it works a treat. It's going to save so much stress on my arms doing up all those rope clamps, and look how deep it is. It doesn't matter how long the extension comes out. You can see it's twice as deep as it needs to be. So yeah, I thought I'd share that for you. If you're doing repetitive jobs, all you need is a welder. You can make your own tools. That cost me £4. That's going to save my forearms unimaginable pain. Big up! And I found if I run it on speed 1, torque setting 8, it's perfect. Because if you have torque settings above 8, you're going to de-thread the nuts, the bolts. So beware! This is where you don't want to be standing when it hits warp speed. Which it will. It will indeed. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day it will. I'm actually going to take it down and tighten the chain up a bit and do what I said with the rotor, which I will video so that you can see. And it's no exaggeration to say this tool I made is going to save me hours and hours. Actually, I'm going to leave. I was going to take it down, but we're getting a bit more wind, so. But yeah, this thing, that is going to save my arms getting busted in, which is good for everyone. Let's go see what the meter's saying. I've hardly seen the turbine move left or right, so I'm pretty sure that the bolts I put in at the top to make it wobble less, which are working, may be restricting the left and right movement. That also may be to do with the fact that the tail's still in a developmental stage. So just going to film the numbers on here before I take it down. 7.1 amps peak, 104 watts. Alright. I haven't done anything with it yet. I was just in the process of taking it down when it started getting a little bit windier. Right, I've let it run free for a minute just to see, and I've connected the turbine directly to the dump load. So I'm going to turn the dump load on. Okay, 10%. Right, let's turn it up to 20%. So obviously this is very handy for when you want to stop the turbine. 30%. We'll leave it on there a minute because now we're in a battle to stay above 8 volts to keep the meter from switching off. That isn't very impressive. Right, I'll turn it off again. You have to know with these meters that once they go below 8 volts they switch off and then they reset the figures. Just so you know. But anyway, now is a good time to take it down, and I'm sure it was on 105 watts, 7.15 amps. And a quick heads up, I've left the speed controller on full so that if the turbine starts spinning, it's going to have all the power taken out of it. It's trying though, we shall see. Holy crap, that wasn't good. I don't think the blades are damaged, but that obviously needs a rethink. What I should have done, obviously, was pull the tail out of the wind first, but because I'm a bit of an idiot. So I've got this wire coming from the back of the turbine, going to here, which is, at the moment I need to slacken this off a tiny little bit. So, let's slacken off this end. And I want to slacken it off a tiny little bit. I don't know why I've got a different size thing on it. That thing is so epic. Wish I'd have done that a long time ago. I'm just going to set it on torque 7 and give it a little tickle. There you go. Cheers, darling. Right. Better do that little one. The tail angle needs adjusting a little bit as well. Let's actually make the tail longer, by a few inches. There you go. What's that for you? I'll check that. Right. I literally need to weld something on here to stop it going past horizontal. Let's just put it up again and see how it is with that. Right, I've got to tighten the chain. That's the main jobby. Very loose. When it's loose, it seems to spin a lot easier, but I don't know. Obviously, we're still in experimental phase, aren't we? Should I take the tow rope off? There we go. That's as tight as we want it, so we're going to tighten from the bottom rather than from the top to make sure it doesn't get any tighter, because too tight it just will not spin. So we'll see how the tail does now. I've adjusted the angle a tiny bit and we've tightened up the chain. It's still fairly loose, but it's all good. I'm not going to do any welding on the tail for the minute. So let's put this bad boy back up and see how she goes. So just to double confirm, I've tightened the chain up and I've slackened the cable off a little bit to control the angle of the yaw movement. Sorry, I'm going to let this off a tiny bit more. There you go. Try and get this nice and tight on there. Thank you. I'm going to say thank you to this drill every time. Right, I think we're on now, folks. Fingers crossed. I'm just going to tie a weight to the tow rope, so that'll take me a few minutes. Right, that's done. Let's go back up again. Sorry, just noticed from back there that the tail still needs a little bit of tightening, but it only takes a second. That looks all right. It's working, yes. It's working. It's working. Sick. Right, I'm going to have a cup of tea and then I'll go do the cables up and see if it runs any better. I didn't try changing the physical location of the stator on the rotor by pushing the rotor forward, so we'll just leave it and see how it goes. Let's go see what the meter's saying. Oh, that's pretty cool. I forgot the dump load is actually on. So it's spinning like that with the dump load on, so I'll turn the dump load off. Don't forget I've tightened the chain up. I'm not sure it'll make any difference. Let's get this dump load switched on to 100%. So this is connected straight up to the dump load on 100%. See, the tail needs to be more rigid, but it is catching the wind pretty well. That squeaking sound is the tail, a little bit of wobble in that. Still haven't done the guide ropes up yet, so I'm going to go have a cup of tea. But this is looking promising now, guys. It's direct to the dump load, so it's definitely doing some work. This is pretty random. I'm going to have to get a jiffy on because it started raining. I'm welding this on, which will stop the turbine going too far over, which may mean we have to get rid of. We can get rid of the cable. I don't know if it'll work or not. Power level 8. This should light up like a Christmas tree. Oh, will the cable stretch? Oh, you knob. Right. Sorry, throwing the sparks into the stator there. Not a very good move. Right. 5 seconds and we're done. There we go. Oh, Blobzilla, but that's all good. It's all good. I'll show you a close up in a bit. I'm just going to go put my welder inside. One thing I'm going to have to do when I've sussed out the straight position is just scribe 2 lines here. Do you get me? Where it's all lined up, and then you can just, that saves messing about. I just got to say, I think one true winner from this project is the stand, which means I can lower the turbine down and do welding while I'm underneath it without fear of getting brutalised. So before it goes back up, I've adjusted this collar and moved it up 2 or 3 millimeters, which means the stator is now encapsulated a tiny bit more by the rotor. I don't know if it'll make any difference to the power. It may make a good difference, it may be bad, maybe nothing at all, but we'll soon find out. It's starting to rain, which is good, because the rain will bring more power with it in a bit. So I'll leave you with this view of it taking off. I'll put up a little bit and you should hopefully see. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to be very risky. I'm just going to take the tow rope off for now, okay? I'm going to start taking it up, then I'm just going to have a double check of the angle of the tail. See what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to spray a load of WD-40 in the top where it twists round. You can see what the tail's doing, so it needs to come over that way a little bit. No, that's the wrong way. Sweet. Let's give that a go. So what wind there is coming from behind the camera. Before I put it up, I just wanted you to see that there's a little gap, only about 1 or 2 mil, but that's the end stop for the tail, meaning the tail can't come back round any further than that. Yes, the sun's come out. I'll keep filming in case we get a little wisp. Oh, bloody hell. Must stop dropping the grinder. Right, I'm just doing the rest of the guide wires up, so it may, if a gust occurreth, it may turn around in the right direction, which would be lovely. I'm sure you agree.